Tea's journey from the mountains of ancient China to the teapots of English society is a tale of exploration, trade, and cultural exchange that reshaped economies, ignited global competition, and even sparked conflicts. This seemingly humble leaf traveled across continents and oceans, leaving its mark on history with each mile. Join me today as we explore Tea's journey from China to England. Legend credits Emperor Shen Nung in 2737 BC with tea's discovery. As he sat by a boiling pot of water, a few leaves from a nearby tree drifted into the pot, creating a brew that would soon captivate not only emperors but the world itself. Revered for its rejuvenating powers, tea became a prized elixir, reserved for royalty and celebrated for its ability to refresh the body and spirit. Over centuries, the Chinese perfected the art of tea, from its cultivation to its ritual enjoyment, creating a culture that viewed tea as more than just a beverage. It was a revered tradition, a symbol of harmony and sophistication. As the Tang dynasty blossomed around the 7th century, tea transformed from medicinal remedy to daily delight. The Chinese embraced tea with newfound appreciation, with scholars and poets dedicating works to its beauty and spirit. By the 8th century, tea traveled beyond China, making its way to Tibet along the rugged tea and horse road, where Tibetan traders exchanged horses for the precious leaves. From this route, tea found new admirers, and soon the world beyond Asia began to sip this exotic infusion. The 17th century saw the dawn of tea trade between China and Europe, a period that would shape empires. The Dutch East India Company brought the first shipments to Europe, setting off a tea craze that swept across the continent. Tea's journey to England began with a Portuguese princess, Catherine of Braganza. In 1662, she married King Charles II of England, bringing with her a love of tea that quickly spread through the English court. The Queen's fondness for tea made it fashionable among the English aristocracy, and soon tea became the drink of choice among the British elite. The East India Company seized this opportunity, securing a virtual monopoly on tea imports to England. As demand grew, tea transitioned from a royal indulgence to a commodity that held appeal across all classes. By the early 18th century, tea was no longer an exotic luxury. It was a national obsession. The British began experimenting with how they drank tea, adding sugar and milk, creating the tea culture that would become synonymous with British identity. But with popularity came a problem. Tea was expensive, and the British appetite for it was insatiable. The British East India Company, eager to quench Britain's insatiable thirst for tea, traded fervently with China. But as trade imbalances rose, Britain's answer was opium, and this illicit exchange led to the devastating Opium Wars. By the end of the conflict, the British had seized control of Hong Kong and gained open access to Chinese ports. The trade routes from China to Britain became bustling channels, carrying tea that fueled British society, influencing not only taste but global trade policies. In the 19th century, Britain's exploration led them to discover wild tea plants in the Indian region of Assam. Eager to reduce dependency on Chinese tea, the British cultivated tea in India, establishing plantations in Assam and Darjeeling, areas that became legendary for their distinct tea varieties. Darjeeling tea, often called the champagne of teas, brought a delicate and refined flavor that enthralled tea drinkers worldwide. India quickly became a powerhouse of tea production, with vast plantations that fueled the British Empire's thirst and transformed global tea markets. Tea's journey didn't stop in Asia and Europe. In the Middle East, it became the heart of hospitality and social life. Samovars in Iran and tea houses in Turkey turned tea into an emblem of Middle Eastern warmth and generosity. Meanwhile, the 20th century ushered tea into new territories, with Kenya, Argentina, and Vietnam joining the ranks of tea-producing nations. Today, tea is enjoyed in countless forms. Steaming cups of masala chai in India, matcha lattes in the West, iced tea in the United States, showing tea's versatility and cultural adaptability. Looking back by 1800s, tea time had become a ritual, with working people pausing for a comforting cup throughout the day. The tradition of afternoon tea, attributed to Anna, the Duchess of Bedford, in the 1840s, cemented tea as a daily institution. Served with cakes, sandwiches, and pastries, afternoon tea became a cornerstone of British social life, blending elegance with everyday routine. In Victorian England, afternoon tea was as much about status and socializing as it was about refreshment. Hosted in grand parlors with fine china and elaborate spreads, tea gatherings reflected wealth and refinement. Over time, tea drinking pervaded all levels of British society, shaping an identity around what had once been a foreign delicacy. Today, tea is one of the world's most consumed beverages, with its influence woven into the cultural fabrics of nations worldwide. The journey of tea from China to England is not just the story of a beverage, but of cultural exchange, conflict, and adaptation. Tea bridged East and West, sparking curiosity and conflict in equal measure. It became a commodity, a symbol, a ritual, and eventually an identity. Tea drinking connected people across continents and cultures, proving that in the smallest and simplest of pleasures, one can find the power to reshape the world. In every cup of tea, there is a trace of this long and storied journey, a blend of Chinese tradition, European ambition, and colonial enterprise. The delicate leaves, once the prized possession of emperors and elites, have become a global staple, offering comfort, conversation, and connection. And while tea is now enjoyed by people of all cultures and classes, it continues to remind us of the complex and interwoven history that brought it to our tables, one sip at a time. Want to learn more about interesting food history? Be sure to subscribe to History of Food.